everyone, I'm on the back deck today and we are going to do the tour of the back deck for November. I do actually have to wear a coat today. It's not as warm as when I did the front deck tour, but I'm going to go around, I'm going to show you how things are looking. Some things are looking like it's much warmer than it actually is right now. My hydrangeas haven't even really, looked any different than they did this summer. It's very strange, but some things are not looking great. And then just like on the front deck, I will tell you what my plans are for all of these over winter, and this is going to be the month to do most, if not all, of those overwintering tasks. So let's go around and let me show you how things are looking for November and then where all this is gonna go. Let's go ahead and start with my hydrangea garden since it is looking abnormally good for the beginning of November. But all of these, again, are compact hydrangeas. I will link down the video below where I planted this section of my garden and I go into much more detail about each of these, but none of them get larger than about 3 feet by 3 feet, and some of them are even a little bit smaller. But as you can see, leaves are still green. Well, some are yellow because of chlorosis. Flowers are still pink. It's very odd that these, I don't know if it's because they're against the house, they do get the first sun in the morning, but it's just been very interesting seeing how my different plants have handled the weather so far. But looking at the specific varieties, so this one here, which I deadheaded and is the smallest when it's full size as well. So this is the wee bit innocent. I believe this is only 1.5 feet by 1.5 feet. When it's full grown, I will plan, I think, to keep all of these in the pots they're planted in, maybe just refreshing the soil. But if some do need larger pots, obviously I will repot them. This one here, this one is the Firelight Tidbit. I didn't get a ton of blooms on this one this year, but sometimes it takes to the second year for them to really get full of blooms. But there is a very nice light blush pink. I don't know if it's, oh there, I think you can kind of see that on camera. It's really beautiful, the kind of pinky tones that it's gotten. This one back here is the Tough Stuff Top Fun. This is a mountain hybrid, and I do love, there's a little bit of fall color on this. I love the hydrangeas where the leaves turn purple in the fall. The flowers are still pink. It still looks good overall, no sign of dormancy yet, but I think the weather's gonna make them realize that it's near the end of the season soon. And then over here is Let's Dance Ariba, and look at how full those flowers are. I believe this one is one of the larger, but just 3 feet by 3 feet. And all of these over here, it is the first year I've had them. I do have one that is in its second year. Over on this side then are 5 more compact hydrangeas. The one that is in its second year, so I got this from a nursery last year, is this one, which is the Tough Stuff Aha. And this one, for some reason, the flowers turned out blue. I've never acidified the soil. I think you can kind of see that there. I have deadheaded this one as well, but I think you can tell that this one has a little bit more growth on it than the other ones. And this one I overwintered in the garage. This one here is the Let's Dance Skyview. It's the one I've had the most chlorosis issues with. So I don't think I'll get any more of this variety, but I am going to keep this in my garden and try to make her happier next year. In the back corner is another Let's Dance Ariba. This one didn't end up doing as well as the other one. It's the same exact plant as that one over there, but it obviously doesn't look as happy. So I'm not sure if it was maybe not getting enough sun, but it also seems to have some chlorosis issues. But again, going to keep it, overwinter it, and just try to make it happier next year. Then we have Let's Dance Can Do. This one's also starting to get a little purplish hue on the leaves. And then the last one over here is Let's Dance Big Band. So those are the 9 different hydrangeas that I have over here. Again, all of them are compact. So I have successfully overwintered hydrangeas in containers before. In fact, there are 2 more in the garden that I've overwintered as well. I think they all have gone in the garage every single time. What I'm going to try to do this year, because I'm going to have a plastic greenhouse set up over there that's currently inside in a box, but I think any of the hydrangeas that are hardy to zone 3, I'm going to keep out here just so I don't have to carry them down, and I don't think I have enough space in the garage for all the plants I want to overwinter there. So zone 3 for sure will be in the plastic greenhouse that is not there yet. Zone 4s are maybes, and then zone 5 or 6 are definitely going to go into the garage. So that's going to be my plan for all of these hydrangeas. That is why I planted them in lightweight pots. Along this border, which I absolutely love this year, especially everything that's planted in the back row there, but in front I have 3 perennials. These are also petite size perennials. So the first one here is Illuminati Sparks Mock Orange. It does have white flowers, just not at this time of the year. And then I have an azalea, which I did not plant up yet, but I'm planning to just bring it to the garage and plant it up next year. But what is this one? This is Azalea Perfecta Mundo Pink Carpet. And then not looking so great anymore is my Bubbly Wine Weigello, which this is one of the plants that I love so much, but didn't know they had compact varieties. And this one, again, I think it's like 1.5 feet to 2 feet tall and wide. So I'm super excited for this one. I think this one's probably going to go in the garage, again, unless any of these are hardy to zone 3. Now in the back here, there are 3 flower boxes that I got for free from someone on Instagram who was trying to get rid of them. But the Angel Face Cascade Pink, these were flowering all season. I absolutely loved them. They were stunning. I can't believe how good they looked with very minimal effort by me. So I'm definitely having these specific ones, the Angel Face Cascade Pink Angelonias, but I'm probably gonna get more for the garden because I love them so much. I also love their growth habit. Very wispy. I don't have a lot of plants that have that kind of similar growth habit to them. Then in the boxes on either side of the Angelonia, I planted some begonias. So this color right here, which still looks gorgeous, is the Double Delight Blush Rose, 100% growing this next year. And then I don't know if over here, any of the Selenia Apricot is planted, but all these Angelonias are the same. And then there were begonias planted next to all of them, but I can't find any of the other one in bloom. There might be another one. Oh, there is. I see it tucked into the garden. So at the end of this border is my very sad looking coconut appeal black-eyed Susan vine. But I loved having this little bush. It almost seemed like a little creature in my garden, and I loved it. It's in a 12-inch pot, and there is a 19-inch plant cage inside of it. And it looked much better than that and was covered with flowers all season long. So all of these annuals, I'm 100% growing again next year, maybe even in the exact same spots. And while the perennials will either be overwintered in the garage or up here in the plastic greenhouse, all the annuals I will pull this fall and try to just chop them up and drop them in some of the raised beds. That's my plan. If I have too much garden waste, then I will have to carry some downstairs, but we'll kind of see when I get to that point. Let's now take a look at this back garden border. So there are 3 raised beds that you can't really see there. You can see it more over there. And then on either side of the raised beds is a 12 by 12 inch plastic pot with an emerald green arborvitae. I just got them this spring. I think I actually got them on my birthday. So we'll see if they overwinter. These are hardy to zone 3, so I'm keeping my fingers crossed. And then in between the raised beds, which you also can't see, is a 7-gallon grow bag with a dahlia in it. And then on the left-hand side, there is the other arborvitae. Now, in these beds, everything is going to have to get pulled. I think they are all annuals. There might be a few perennials, but this is where I'm going to plant my bulbs. So I have to get the plants out so that I can get the bulbs in. On the left here, let's see what's actually even left in this bed. I think there's a dead gomphrena. There's a sort of alive truffula pink gomphrena. And then there is the celosia. This is from Florette. It's vintage rose. I have 2 of them. They do look a little bit different. This one, for some reason, the sparrows seem to love more. So when I pull this out, which I'm not excited about trying to get that root ball out of there, but when I pull this out, I think I'm just going to lay it somewhere for the birds to still eat from for a while. So we'll see how that turns out. Over here, I have my sad looking dahlias. They were looking good yesterday. And then I think the temperatures overnight, they just started to look really sad. But this was one of my favorites. I swear it looked prettier than this. This is the Penhill Watermelon Dahlia. And I have purchased 3 different tubers that said Penhill Watermelon. And this is the first time I've actually gotten the correct dahlia. So that was really exciting. I have a row of pots down here in the front that I'll get to in a second. I've kind of been shifting things around. But that plant is one of my favorites. Try not to get ahead of myself. So in the center raised bed here, here is the Selenia Apricot begonia. So it's a little bit more yellowy orange. And I mean, it still looks really good. The leaves still look green. The flowers are still colorful. So I'm, again, 100% growing that next year. A gomphrena I need to pull. These are the 2 other hydrangeas. These have been overwintered in the garage for 2 years now, and they keep coming back. They are both the tiny quickfire that I got at the Grand Garden Show in 2022. Also have a really pretty fall color with the leaves turning purple. And the reason I popped them up here is because I pulled some plants and I just missed having some height. So you can move your pots around. as you get empty holes in your garden during the season, but I absolutely love these. I think they're probably at their full size now, so these will be the pots they stay in. Again, might refresh the soil, add compost, but not going to upsize them. And then it looks like I do have one Rudbeckia in there, so I might pop that out and move that to the front. There's a status in there, and I think that's it. But again, everything in here is going to be emptied out. And then these 2 pots are going to go down to the garage. I have another dahlia that looks really sad here. This came in the Penhill watermelon, but it wasn't. So this, I believe, just from recommendations here and what it looks like online, I think this is the Queen Yellow. I think that's what it was called, Penhill Queen Yellow. So can't show you any flowers, but that's it there. And then in this bed, I have this planted the exact same way as the bed furthest on the left. So we have the Gomphrena, the Celosia that definitely looks different. So this one I think I'm going to harvest and dry for myself. The other one I'm going to leave out for the birds. And I think that's everything in there. Now let's look at the pots in the front. So again, I've fallen in love with so many plants this year that I'm 100% going to grow again. First off, well, let's just go left to right. So begonias here, just labeled as generic begonias. I don't know the exact variety. And then I fell in love with the Sun Patience. This one is the Purple Candy. Again, look how good it still looks in November. I barely did anything to it. The other Sun Patient is the Orchid Blush. They sparkle a little bit in the sun, the flowers. I showed you in my pressing video, or maybe it was my harvest video, that when they're pressed, they turn like purple and blue. It's really beautiful. What is also in this pot, and that pot down there are 3 peonies. And I just planted them in the spring, but because they were still going to be growing, I wanted to put some annuals around them. And I don't know if that was a good or bad idea. Trying to see if I can see any peonies, but what I'm essentially going to do with these pots is cut the plants off first, because I don't want to pull the root balls out and then disturb the peony. I'm going to cut the plants off, see if I can identify a peony in there, and then those are going to be overwintered in the greenhouse, because I was told from the person who sent them to me that they can handle the cold, but they just don't want to get really wet, which is my issue with most of the bulbs. I don't want them to rot, any of my bulbs, my tubers, even some of my plants that just had the fibrous root systems, those will rot over winter when they're left out. So if there are living peonies in here, they'll be going into the plastic greenhouse. Then I have my cookies and cream hibiscus, which has seen better days. I actually find it interesting that during, well, maybe it's just more sunlight, but during the summer, the leaves are more darker purple. Now they're turning green, which is kind of the opposite of, other plants that put on their fall color. And speaking of fall color, look at this Scentlandia Sweetspire. In fact, let me go find the tag so you can see what it looked like most of the season. This is how it looked most of the season. White flowers, white really cool looking flowers, green leaves, and then this brilliant fall color. I want to get at least 2 more of these to have in the garden up here, because I think I want to focus on including more fall color specifically in this garden. But that is so stunning. This is, I think it's 2 to 3 feet at maturity, and this is zone 5, so it's 100% going to be going in the garage. So I think that's everything along the back wall. Over here is what this is looking like right now. Oh, it was so much prettier just a day or 2 ago, but that is how Mother Nature works. So in the far left, in the pot on the top, is another azalea, the same one that I have down below. I just wanted to pop something in there. There were super petunias, which did great at filling out the pot, but budworms eat them every single year. I feel like no matter what I do to try to prevent it. So I think next year I might do Sun Patience up there, because they didn't seem to have any pest issues. There also seems to be petunias or something growing back in here. So I'm just letting Mother Nature do whatever it wants to do. But these containers are just going to stay out here. That azalea will come in the garage. I have my row of dahlias and what used to be zinnias as well. In fact, let me move the couch out of the way. Every single one of these plants is in a 7-gallon grow bag. I chose brown because that blended in with the brick the best. So I really like that. They are from, oh, what brand are they from? I got them on Amazon. But they're really good quality because the handles don't break off. I'll link it down below. I can't remember it off the top of my head, but I've had a lot of issues with the handles breaking off some of my grow bags. These seem to be sewn on really well. So 7-gallon brown grow bags, plant lifts so that the grow bags aren't sitting directly on the deck, and then 19-inch plant cages for support. So I had the floret zinnias in here. Those already got taken out by powdery mildew. I cut them back, Everything with a dahlia in it, once they turn all completely brown and die, I'm going to cut them off, and all of these bags will come down to the garage. These are the only plants that need my garage to be heated to survive, which it is to 40 degrees. All of the other plants that I'm putting in there could survive without it being a heated garage. I just want to make sure that is clear, that this is the only plant, the dahlia tubers, that I'm overwintering that need between like that 40 to 50 degree temperature. Everything else that I'm going to move down there would be fine in an unheated Chicago garage. So if you have a shed or something like that, that should work as well. But I have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 dahlias that hopefully all come back next year. And then the bags with the zinnias that I cut out. So this one here, for example, this is going to be used as insulation in my greenhouse. So when I have the plastic greenhouse, which let me show you where that's going to go. That will basically run along here just so it has the most protection from the house. And you want to put it in a place where there's more shade so that the sun isn't constantly heating up the plants inside of it and then they're freezing at night. You don't want them to go through a thaw-freeze cycle every day. So I'm going to put it up here because it's in the shade, tucked up against the house. I'll put all the plants in first, all the pots with plants in, and then I will line it with the grow bags that don't have plants in them for just added insulation. But I really did love how this turned out. I think I might just do dahlias here next year. So just all dahlias instead of the dahlias and zinnias. Then we have this beautiful looking section. So I have this giant pot here, which I think is 20-inch diameter. I think it's a little bit under 2 feet. The sweet potato vine is doing great. There were at some point 4 supertunias. They are not doing as great. I do need to pull this completely, so I'll have this pot, which will be empty. The bucket planter I already emptied out. And then last are my morning glories, which I have never had morning glory flower. I've had the same seed packet. Well, I've had like a few flowers, but nothing like this. Same seed packet that I've used for 3 years. I've planted it in the same exact spot before. And for some reason this year it's flowering like crazy. So that's why I wanted to leave it, even though it's not looking great. But this will get pulled this fall as well. Everything here will stay out on the deck but shifted so that I could put the greenhouse here. And then once the greenhouse is up, what I do to keep it secure and not blow away, because that was an issue I had with the taller greenhouse, but I'll put it there. I will put some heavier pots on like the bottom bars. When I put up the greenhouse, I'll show you it so it'll make a little bit more sense. But then along the longest side of the greenhouse, I will cover the couch and push it up against it very tight and snug. And then the shorter side, I will cover the chair, push it up against it very tight and snug. And my greenhouse does not go above this wall, so it is pretty well blocked from the wind. The greenhouse that I had before on the front deck, this was 2 years ago now, I think, was about 6 feet tall. And even though it was secured to the deck, the wind ripped it in half. So like the bars bent and the plastic was floating around the deck. So I don't think I can have any taller greenhouses out here. So that's why I got a shorter one that is protected by the wall. So that is my November garden with my still green hydrangeas. I will obviously, as I start overwintering, show you all of this. Again, I think next is going to be emptying out the beds for the bulbs, and then we'll go through getting everything put away, which I'm not ready for yet. So I will link down the front deck tour and then previous month's tours as well. If you want to see what my garden looks like at its peak, look at the August ones, because that's before things started getting disease and pests all over them. That's when my garden is kind of in its, well, yeah, in its peak. So check those out if you want to see my garden, how it normally looks during the season. And then I will see you in the next video.